Oh, and and something else we haven't mentioned. We've been focusing on the wrestling aspect. The other part of what I do, which is the exact same premise, but we do this in on the Wii U with Smash Brothers.
Yes. So for those who are more familiar with Super Smash Brothers, yeah, they do the same thing, but for Super Smash Brothers. So if you were hesitant to do it for wrestling, you can definitely do it for Super Smash Brothers. So with that said, or on the Wii U, of course. So with that said, you can explain more about it.
Yeah, it works pretty much just the exact same way. You got the hopefuls pool. Of course, you're a little more limited because there's only 8 characters at a time in a smash in a brawl.
Yeah.
And so instead of submitting like for the singles in XTW, you submit 10 names. I just have you submit 5 names. And and then on the team side, because we go ahead and use the team aspect, you submit 3 teams. And now, of course, we don't have rivalry matches. We don't have story. We just have the straight up. And I'm not able to stream it because it's on Wii U, and I don't have anything to stream it with. But I put the videos together, put those up on YouTube, and pretty much exact same premise. The contenders pool is 6 characters. I kept the 6 just from XTW. I'm like, it's just a nice round number. Although on the team side, again, because of you can only have 8 characters, the contenders pool is 4 teams every time.
Yep.
And then from there, it's rung 3, 2, 1, and then you have the champions. Although we had to come up with little different names because things like world champion and TV champion and U.S. champion didn't really seem to fit.
No, they didn't. And
So this was where I went to and put up a thing in one of the posts, and I'm like, "Do we have ideas?" And Mr. TehJew22, the first thing he posted, and when I first saw it, I'm like, "That's it, brilliant." The top champion is the master. The number 2 champion is the knight, and the number 3 champion is the apprentice.
yes. And on the team variations, what do we have?
We just take out the apprentice, so we have the masters and the knights.
Definitely. I mean, you used to use like prince and princesses or kings and queens, but we don't have that
Yeah,
anymore. So I just thought, you know what, we just needed a name that fits. It was a unisex name like master and apprentice and knight.
exactly.
So yeah, same
And that's
concept.
just
Just
another example of where when I have ideas for something or I'm looking for feedback, I'll post it up and whoever participates, give me some feedback, and then I'll just kind of go from there. I mean, we've had ideas I've come up with for XTW that I'm like, well, what about this idea? And Jason and TehJew22 will be kind of like, nah, I don't really. So I'm like, okay, I won't do that then.
yeah, there were some ideas that might have sound good, but I just didn't think it was a good idea at the time. Who knows? But yeah, that's practically what he just hit it on the head again. I'm
So
pretty
I do
sure.
listen. When I ask for feedback, I do listen to the feedback.
Yeah, I try to do the same thing on my channel. Um, but yeah, definitely. In fact, feedback is important, as we all know. And let's see. Uh, oh, of course. All right. So while XDW is driven based on what people vote for, mine is basically storyline driven. But I don't make it to a point where it's like WWE is doing it, where it's like they rely heavily on backstage segments and all that stuff. I just thought they've overdone it in years recent.
Oh yeah.
I try to make the story in the ring the most important, like within the matches,
Yes,
and make
that's how it should be.
storylines. Yeah, and make storylines based on what happens in the ring.
And of course, being that in the video game you can't always determine who wins, you kind of need to go based off of that.
Exactly, and then and I mean and as far as the cutscenes that happened, especially when establishing rivalries. I couldn't even talk. Um, I was like, oh wow, this person attacked this person. I'm like, you know what? We should definitely have a feud with those two. And then there was stuff that happened in the game that I'm like, you know what? Especially after what happened in that match, you know what? We should definitely correct it. Like, believe it or not, one point, Triple H came out with the World Championship belt, which is not a problem. But here's the problem, though: he was not the champion; someone else was. So he came out with the championship, and I'm like, oh my god! I was thinking to myself, okay, is that a glitch or something? So I just had to come up with something on the fly and be like, wait a minute, Triple H, why does he have that championship? And I'm like, he he that is not his championship. He must have stolen the damn thing. And I was like, okay, I just had to ad lib or improvise on the fly just because I was like, I was not expecting Triple H to hold on to a championship that wasn't his to begin with.
Right.
So it kind of works in my fed just because I think of stuff that just happens based on what the game does. It's crazy.
And I just recently, in fact, just in the last couple of days, I saw your punishment.
Yes. In fact, sometimes whatever happens in the game, I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I would have a punishment match either because one person no shows, or there was one particular case where the British Bulldog left a match that he and Bret Hart were supposed to have as part of a tournament, and I was like,
Is that like the cutscene where the partner doesn't take the tag and walks out?
yeah. And in instant in presto, a feud right then and there. In fact, not too long ago, Bret Hart had his match with British Bulldog in that cage match. If you remember that one.
Vaguely. I watch so many videos and trying to catch up on my YouTube watch later list. It's like I see them, I just don't necessarily store them in my brain.
Except for that concrete table match.
Oh, I mean, there's moments sometimes that just stand out.
Another moment. I just thought of another one. Like there was a women's match, and then there was a clothesline that caused the opponent to fly in the air just a little bit. Do you remember that one?
No, I thought you were going to say the one with the ladder, but you kind of described the ladder. But there was a women's match that did that, and you did a really high, really loud, what?
Yes.
And it was crazy looking.
I just could not believe it. And then, let's see.
I remember there was some match where the referee got stuck asking for a submission, even though both guys were up and wrestling, and he was stuck in the looking at nobody, looking at the mat, asking for a submission.
Oh, you mean the video entitled "The Referee is an Idiot"? That's what I could have called it. I'm like, okay, this is not working out. And then I just decided to have a match for that championship. Oh, of course, that was the match where I then decided, all right, I just decided to end the match right then and there. I kept the video just for comedy purposes, but
Yeah.
but on the inside, I was like, are you serious? I have to do another match? And then I was like, okay. I decided to come up with another match, and then that match turned out to be a Royal Rumble, just because at least I'll have a definitive winner by that point.
Yeah.
And sometimes what even happens in the Royal Rumble matches just take me by surprise. Like, for example, of course, Christian, his 1999 self, eliminating Bowser just by kicking him in the face. You know the stored finisher where you can kick somebody in the face while in the corner?
Yes.
Just the fact that Christian did it, when in reality that would never happen. I'm like, Christian would have to find a way to get the big man to, essentially eliminate himself, but no, Christian just simply kicked him in the face, and Bowser went over the top rope and out, and I'm like, Wow. Like stuff you would never think to happen. Or how about little guys picking up big guys? And you pretty
Yeah.
much you pretty much know where I'm going with this one.
Rey Mysterio body slamming Big Show.
Well, yeah, or I was actually thinking of Punk doing that, but still. And what do I usually say when that sort of thing happens?
He had his Wheaties.
Yes.
He ate his Wheaties.
I could have done the old steroid trick, but I just thought that would not be cool, and I was like, all right, you know what? He must have had his Wheaties today. I just it was just something that came up on the fly, really. Oh my god, we're just having way too much fun with this.
Oh yeah. We never mentioned either on XTW and XTSB the little like side things that we do with it, like the Lucky Seven series and the new contender tournaments.
Oh yeah, that's you know what? You can explain the Lucky Seven since that was the first one of the two that come out.
Well, actually, if we go back a step further, I had at one point we had the Team Challenge series,
Yes.
and sometimes I come up with concepts based on like watching some older shows, older wrestling on TV or whatever, and I'm like, ooh, I can incorporate that idea. In the AWA back in the 80s, I used to watch that on ESPN all the time. They had a team challenge series where the wrestlers were like split into three teams and they'd earn points for their team when they won matches. So at one point, we did where this was when it was TehJew22 and Jason and the other guy, LJ, based on characters that were in either the singles and or tag rankings. They drafted a team of 10 characters.
Yes.
And then whenever their characters would win, I would just pretty much track it, and we just see which guy's team would have the higher winning percentage. And if somebody dropped out of the rankings, then they'd get to redraft somebody else because obviously that character's gone. Kind of a simple concept. I'm not sure if I'll ever bring that back, simply because it was kind of tough to keep up with, kind of tough to track, really. But it
Yeah.
was fun.
It was fun for a time, but I just thought, yeah, I'm kind of glad that you did away with it. I mean, it was a good concept for a time, but I just couldn't continue with it. But
It ran its course.
yeah, it did. But then you kind of made a new idea based loosely on that.
Well, actually, the Lucky Seven series that was inspired by TNA Impact, and they have the Bound for Glory series that they like to do each year,
Oh, of course.
which is kind of like a round robin tournament. And they score points based on if you win by pinfall, win by submission, whatever. And so I went, well, let's see, we can kind of take this concept. So what we would do is take anybody that wasn't in the title tier. I mean, we kind of had this little caveat in there. So anybody from rung one down. And each time they win a match, they get a point. Simple as that. We didn't define submissions or anything. It just, you win a match, you win a point. And these points could also come from the in-game matches, the rivalry matches, the pay-per-view matches. But once somebody breaks the 7-point level, then the top four at that point would do a little mini tournament. 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. The winners face off. And then the winner of that gets a shot at the heavyweight title. So they have a chance to jump way up top. Ironically, on a little side note, since we've been doing this concept, not a single person has cashed in that opportunity, which is
Yes.
kind of weird.
Yeah, I would think at least one person would have, but you know what? I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
And we do the same thing on the tag team side. So with all the singles, with all the tag teams, no one has. They've had their opportunities, and not one has taken the belt. Well, we recently came up with another new idea, and this is crazy because for the longest time I was thinking to myself, I want to do like a side tournament, like an actual tournament structure that you still do the ladder tournament, but this would be a side thing. And I couldn't like resolve how to do it. And just like a month or two ago, whatever it was, I was at work. It was somewhat slow, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. And I'm like, how come I didn't think of this before? We start a 16-man tournament, so whoever's ranked 1 to 16, and this time it will include title holders that will be in it. Now, if you've ever watched the real WWE, they have sometimes a thing to determine a contender or whatever called the Beat the Clock Challenge.
Yes.
This wasn't so much my inspiration, but this is just the easiest way to explain this. On the Beat the Clock Challenge, obviously each guy that's in the challenge, they wrestle different opponents, and it's whoever can win faster. Well, if you want to kind of use that kind of just as a loose premise, in the tournaments, since obviously most of these guys are not facing each other, especially like 1 versus 16, 2 versus number 15, they're in completely different parts of the ladder.
Yes.
The simple rule is, if both are in a match on the same show, if one of them wins and one of them loses, then whoever won advances to the next round. Simple as that.
And the one who loses is out, simply.
Out of the tournament. And this is kind of like you said in series, in the sense that the eventual winner gets a world title shot.
I like it. In fact,
now, of course, if both guys win or if both guys lose, then nothing happens, and that matchup carries over to the next show, and we try again.
And this continues until there's only one winner left.
Well, actually, the final match. We are going to play out the final match. We're going to book it like a normal match. So, but the round of 16, the quarterfinal, and the semifinals, they're all based on the format we just described. But when we get down to the final two,
Yes.
they're going to go head to head.
Oh, now that part I didn't get.
Yeah, we'll have them go in a straight up match, and then that'll be a thing where the winner of that match gets that title shot later on the same show.
I like it.
And then once we play that out, then we just start another new tournament after that. And even though on one hand you would think, well, there's only like 4 rounds of a tournament, but when you factor in the if both win, if both lose, or if one doesn't have a match, then nothing happens. Well, that's going to take longer because, in fact, the show that TehJew22 watched, in fact, the one we described where Scorpion won the Divas title.
Yes. Yeah, that I still can't get over, man. But go ahead.
That was the first show using this new tournament format. And we had Scorpion won his match, but JBL lost in the match he was in, so Scorpion advanced.
Yes.
Road Dogg won his match. Sting 91 lost his. Road Dogg advanced. I won my match, which happened to be for the U.S. title. Brian Pillman lost in his, so I advanced. Now we had Big Show and General Adnan. They both lost in their matches, so their matchup as far as the tournament goes, the next show we play, we'll see if one wins and one loses.
Yeah, and then I take it that those who have advanced, are reseeded. And how do you reseed in this particular case?
They're not reseeded. It's just a normal 16-person tournament. So if you set up just the classic style 16-man tournament,
okay,
the opening round, where number 1 faces number 16, number 2 faces number 15, but they're on the opposite ends of the bracket.
Well, yeah, but I meant like when it comes to like after one round is done and then some people advance.
Although the matches can be, I guess we can call it asymmetrical. Because looking at the chart now, looking at my deal, in the quarterfinals for this next show, we have Scorpion and Road Dogg are facing each other.
Yes.
So that matchup can happen on this next show. We can have someone advance past that on the next show. I'm not going to wait for one round to be done to do a match from another round if it exists.
I get you in that. I get you on that one. And,
now, my character advanced and Mankind advanced, but we're not matched up against each other in a quarterfinal, so we just have to sit there and wait for an opponent. So the next show, our Mankind and my character will be unaffected as far as the tournament goes, win or lose, because we don't have an opponent in the tournament.
Okay. Well, that is a good concept. I'm surprised I never thought of it myself, but I like it. I think that's one of your best ideas to date.
And of course, that's updated when I described where I print out the updated rankings. That is now part of the middle section where I will update who won, who lost, who advanced, what the new matchups are, all that good stuff.
Wow, that's again, like I said, that's a great idea. I just thought that was one of the
Feel
best.
free to steal and borrow it and twist it around into your needs or something. I mean, it's hell, it's a basic tournament concept. It's not like I created anything like genius.
Well, and no, it's not like you trademarked it like the Fine Brothers.